Social music talk.
And, working with Miles back in the late 80s really helped establish me. And then going to Virgin and having the hits at Virgin established me. And then when I left, I was managing Phoebe Snow and, Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees. And some of these things, everything I did, gave me a little more credibility. And then I have an artist now named Kaylee Go, who I got signed to Jason Plum at Universal when she was young, and now we're doing it again. And so all these little things add up to credibility. And
Yeah, I checked out some of her music, Kaylee Go, and she's very good looking and also sounds nice.
Yeah.
I'm curious what her status is in the music biz at this point.
At this point, we just finished doing some writing with the people that do Billie Eilish and Halsey.
Okay.
We just finished shooting a video that's being edited right now, and everyone's aware of her. We did the Mountain Dew commercial. If you see that new Mountain Dew commercial, it says "Do the Dew" with the Migos on there, and it's a new one that it's been around for about 5 months now. But she's in that national TV commercial.
Wow.
So that was really good for her.
She's pretty
But
young.
yeah, we're just about to do something soon. What's that?
Isn't she still pretty young?
Yeah, she's young still, but she was signed at 14.
Oh, wow.
And 15, made the record, and then things happened in the business, and the record didn't come out, and but now we've regrouped and we're doing it again, and it's actually, in hindsight, I know it was probably the best thing that could have happened for her. And it was hard on me when it didn't work out. We put a lot of effort into it, but she's almost like I've known her since she was a young girl in this family and everything. So I'm happy to be working with her, and she's doing great.
That's great. And that's your main client right now?
Artist client, yes. I've got some other clients, business, other clients. I sit on some advisory boards, and I'm maybe going to go work with another company right now that's a startup platform. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm in a good spot. I really am happy living in Boulder, and I don't have to chase anything. People call, I say yes, or I say no. And it's nice life at this age,
So you get to pick and choose your projects.
Yeah, now I do. Actually, you know what, Alex? I always sort of did. Even when I was in my heyday and as a record promoter, I turned down a lot of stuff, and people said, "You're crazy. You could be making so much more money." It's like, yeah, but I don't. My reputation is more important, because if I took crap music that I knew in my heart that I could not get on the charts, or I could not really, it was just crap. I don't want to be associated with it.
Right.
And so yeah, I always picked and chose my projects, and actually quite carefully, because I knew my reputation was the only thing you really have in the business, and the integrity of the work has to stand on its own, and I was always aware of that and always cognizant of that when I said yes or no to something.
That seems like the same type of thinking as Miles Copeland.
Oh, I'm not in his world. I wish I had his league.
But he picked a lot of winners, right?
Yeah, he did. He was his own guy. He's still around. He's still doing well. He's his own guy. I've always tried to be my own person as well, and not be swayed or pushed around, by influenced by anybody. And I quit Virgin Records on my own. I moved to Boulder, Colorado, when people thought I was nuts. And but I've always been kind of for the underdog. I've always been that person. The way I grew up and the way my family raised me, I was always fighting for the underdog, and because typically the underdog is got the passion, has got the integrity, and usually has the goods. But that's the old cliche, right? You go to follow the road less traveled, and don't go with the masses. Go with the That's I've always lived my life that way, and
mine too. I love that type of story.
It served me well. Am I the richest guy in the round? No, I'm definitely not. But I have no regrets in anything. I really don't.
Yeah, I've always cheered on the underdog, and I worked in radio at independent stations, and the one I talk about the most is Quad, which was an alternative
Sacramento.
In Sacramento in the 90s, and we broke a lot of records. I mean, just bands out of Sac. We broke Cake and Deftones, but we also broke a lot of just other bands from all over, and that is my, even though I worked at 8 other stations, like I talk about that one the most because magical stuff happened. It was an indie station,
Mm-hmm.
and we did things that were not conventional in the radio industry. We got to actually
Yeah.
break rules and prove that you could get away with it.
And quad mattered.
Yeah.
It did. It mattered big time.
Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm. Well, think about anything that's changed our world. I mean, I don't want to be melodramatic about, you or me doing anything that great. I'm just saying that anything that's changed the world has broken the rules, has gone the opposite direction,
The
or
Beatles.
a different direction.
The Beatles are the best example.
Everyone.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, the status quo is boring as well. You do something this is the way it's always done. Let's do it this way. It's like, no, why? It's boring.
Right.
You may as well take some risks. That's what life's about. The challenges. I love a good challenge.
So for someone who's just starting out and getting into music, say they have a catalog of songs. I mean, do people just keep plugging away at making music? But I mean, at some point you have to meet the right people, right?
I think you do need help. I mean, every case is different, as I said, but it would help if you knew the right people. But the content is really important. If you're writing a lot of songs and you have the ability to, do cheap little videos and drop your songs here or there, or get involved with a platform that is going to help nurture you, that gives you the tools necessary that you need to help develop your business, that's what an independent artist should be looking for.
You know what?
It doesn't have. What's that?
Sorry to interrupt you, my friend. But They Might Be Giants, in my opinion, is like a perfect example of the group you just described. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that band, but
They Might Be Giants. Yeah, of course.
Right. But that's the perfect band to. You just described that.
Yeah, but I mean, you do need to. You got to be smart. You got to be smarter now. Back in the day, the artists relied on their manager to do everything. They sat back and just smoked pot and wrote some songs, and we miss those days. But, the artists do, because the artists now have to be much more involved with the business of the music,
especially social media.
They have to have more of a plan. I don't think, like back in the day, if you wrote some great songs, this business was much smaller. But now the independent artist has to know what the hell's going on. There's a lot of small revenue streams. There used to be just a couple of revenue streams, maybe 3, right? You had the record sales, you had the touring, and you had the publishing, the writing. But now there's all these different little streams coming in. So you have to kind of know what's going on.
What are some of those little streams, like alternatives, to the regular old method?
Well, you've got the streaming, of course, which is pennies. But if you've got enough of them going on, it can add up. But then you have the licensing that we talked about, the TV shows and placements. We call them placements, right? Mm-hmm. And that's 2 right there. But there's lots of different things.
But do sponsors say, like, local sponsors look for musicians to do music for them? Is that happening?
Well, I think that's probably happening. I don't know how much.
I'm just wondering, is it just at a big level, like big advertising agencies and that kind of thing?
No. Okay, for sure. There's local agencies, but they're not going to pay really much money at all. They might pay a few $100, if anything. A lot of times they'll say, well, just write me this. Let me use your song, and we're going to be running these spots on the local television station. Well, you know what? I would do it. Mm-hmm. As long as they don't own the song. They're basically giving it to them for a term, maybe a year or 6 months or something, or just for that campaign from a local advertiser. There's nothing wrong with that. Anytime you can expose your music, you should do it. And I remember back when you would never have a major artist putting any of their music on a commercial. The Beatles, Lennon, all those guys, no way.
Yeah.
But and then you had Seeger doing like a rock, and you had all these people making a ton of money doing it, starting to do it, and then people started scratching their heads, going, these artists are saying, this isn't such a bad thing, I guess. So now it's a huge source of income for many, many artists.
Is that also true?
Funny.
Is that also true if your song is in a radio jingle?
Radio jingle.
Say like like a radio spot. Like you write a song for say a
For
local
the spot, they'll
company.
get paid, but for getting played, of course, they're not getting paid, and that's what the whole
Yeah.
controversy has been about, yeah, because radio saying, oh, we're giving them exposure. But
Yeah.
of course, that's changing. They should be getting paid. The writers should be getting paid, and that's changing, which is good.
Right, it is
Um,
changing. I'm
yeah.
still curious what the importance of radios anymore. When I look at the charts, and I don't spend a lot of time listening to the music that's on the charts, but I look at the charts and it just looks so foreign to me, and it's like not anything anybody's talking about on social media, and I'm just wondering, but it's the same music being played on radio. And so is
Well,
radio radio still part of the food chain in music?
It's funny because you do have that big bucket of superstars. Whether it's Kanye West, who just dropped that huge record, is coming out now, and
Yeah.
you've got the new artists up and coming like Billie Eilish, who's making a lot of noise. How long will she last? Who knows? But so you do have, and they're getting played on radio, of course. So radio still has a big megaphone and is important, but it's such a small number of artists that are able to play in that pond,
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. So, but people are talking about Kanye. People are talking about Billie Eilish. People are talking about, whomever, Halsey, or whoever's, doing this. So, but there's a lot of artists now, and the major commercial stations have a very small playlist. So to have those unreasonable expectations that I alluded to earlier about getting on commercial radio as an independent artist, you should forget about it.
Yeah.
Focus your attention more on building your brand, building your own personal brand.
Well, that's the key, building the brand. So
Yeah.
we'll be looking deeper into that. We've been talking with Tom Callahan, who will have a book coming out maybe in the next year called Corporate Fitness that should be useful to anyone who's trying to strengthen their mind in the business world. So, Tom, anything you'd like to add?
No, I just want to say thank you, Alex, and thank you guys for having me. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. And hopefully you have a great holiday season, and we'll chat soon, I hope.
You got it. Tom Callahan, thanks for joining us on Social Music Talk. Social music.